Hey guys, welcome to Horology Biology. So I've been looking through the comments on some of my videos, and one thing that I have noticed a few times is people have actually been referring to my narration quite similar to the late Bob Ross. Now Bob was big in the painting world back in the early 1980s and sported a super fresh, super nice mega afro. And I started thinking, how would it exactly have worked if Bob had been servicing watches rather than painting? Without further ado, let's roll the clip. Welcome back to The Joy of Watch Servicing with me, Bob Ross. If you're new to the show, well, you're in for a treat because you're in a happy place right now where we're going to be servicing watches to all your heart's content. Today on the bench, I have got a nice 1970s Certina watch. It is so nice, even your grandma will like it. My hair is so itchy right now, it's actually driving me insane, but I'm going to push through because that's what we do. In this world, there is no such thing as mistakes, only happy accidents, but very expensive ones, of course. So, if you want to work alongside with me, get your favorite watch, get your screwdrivers, we're going to work together, or sit down in your most comfortable armchair, grab a nice glass of cold iced tea, and let's get on with it. Hi there, y'all. Bob Ross. So as I mentioned, I have got this really pretty, happy little Certina Argonaut 280 on my bench today. And what we're going to do is we're going to completely strip down this happy little watch. First of all, I'm going to remove the happy little strap, which is in that funky neon orange. Just as funky as me. So as you can see, this watch is actually in quite a nice condition. It has been looked after very well. But it's very dry and we need to make it super moist. Not too moist, but just moist enough that it will run for the next 10 to 20 years without any serious complications. So first of all, I'm going to just open it up, a little bit of surgery going on here, and I'm just taking off the case back so that I can see the beautiful movement inside and all y'all can see it. I'm removing the old gasket and I'm throwing that away because we want to put a happy one on later on, which is most certainly what I'm going to do. So now what I'm doing is I'm going to remove this happy little winder and I'm just going to take him out of his home and I'm going to put him to one side until I need him later on. As you can see, the movement looks really pretty. I mentioned it's a 2566 and it's actually running not too bad, but the owner of this funky little watch in question, he did require that it needed a service, so this is where yours truly came in. No brushes today, only screwdrivers. So hope you can whack your screwdrivers off with me and we'll whack together and whack off good. So I've removed the case clamps from this and I've just taken the watch out of the case. And it's a beautiful dial. Very funky looking. It's got a crosshair on it as you can see. And it has that tremendous bright orange sweeper seconds hand. As the man himself says it, it is super fresh and of course super nice. So I'm removing the hands. There's only 3 hands. You've got the seconds hand, the hour, and of course the minute hand. And I'm just touching up this happy little dial. I'm giving it a little touch with some of my special Bob Rodico putty. Just removing any of that dust that's on there. Now I'm going to tackle these little screws on the side and I'm just going to whack those off real hard. Now once you unscrew them, you don't have to unscrew them all the way. These little screws, they only like to be turned just a little bit. Because in this world, they only need a half turn. You don't need to fully remove them from their home. Half is perfectly fine. Now once the dial's off, I basically need to remove the hour wheel and I also want to remove that cannon pinion, which I just did. And now I flip the movement over and I want to basically remove any of the wine that's left in the watch. So I've put the crown back in to his home, and I'm just moving the click here, holding it with one of my whacked off screwdrivers, and I'm just going to release the tension from the watch. And as you can see, that happy little balance spring, which was bouncing along lovely, has stopped now because there's no power left in the watch at all. So I'm just going to remove his screw, lift him off nicely with my tip of my whacked off screwdriver, and then I'm just going to put him into a different house to keep him safe until we need him later on. There he is, looking all happy and pretty. What a handsome little fellow. So now I'm going to remove the pallet cock and the pallet stones underneath. Sorry, I mean the pallet forks. Getting ahead of myself here. Reminds me of a story one time, but yeah, I think I'll have to save that for another one because this video is only half an hour long. And I don't think we have time for that. So out go the pallet forks, and now I can continue to break down this movement. So I'm just removing the click and the screw for that holds the click in place. And then I can tackle that pesky spring, because these little suckers, they're rascals. They like to fly all over the place. So it's always safe that you hold it down with a nice piece of pegwood. So now that's out of the way, I can now move on to the crown wheel. Now, it's called a crown wheel, but it doesn't actually wear a crown. No, sir, it doesn't do that. But I'm removing it anyway, and that middle bit, there you see it, that's the crown wheel core. Now we're just going to pop him to one side, keep him nice and safe with all his friends. And now I can remove the train of wheel bridge and the barrel bridge. Now they're held down with various screws, and it's really important that you don't mix up your screws, because there's nothing worse than screwing things in the wrong place. Trust me, I should know that. Off goes the barrel bridge, and don't forget all of these parts, they're going to be cleaned real deep later on. And I wasn't lying about it when I said at the beginning, guys. I hope you're all sitting down there, got your cold iced tea on the go, and I must admit, as I mentioned at the beginning, my head is so itchy. It's actually driving me insane. I don't know how the hell that I've flossed this afro all of these years, because it is damn itchy, and I also have to say that even though it's January, it's damn hot as well. So off comes the train of wheel bridge, and now I can remove all those little wheels and those little happy gears underneath. Look how happy they look. And off goes the barrel, and that's holding the mainspring inside, and that's the thing that calls all the tension in the watch. And now I have to remove this last little bridge so we can get to that escape wheel and that center wheel. Now it always amuses me that they call it an escape wheel because it doesn't seem to escape. It permanently seems to live where it is. I mean, I've never opened up a watch and thought, oh man, the escape wheel has escaped. It's completely gone. Now I didn't show it on camera, but just before I flipped over this movement to do the other side, I made sure that I gave my screwdrivers a good whacking off because it's really important that you get them prepared, ready, nice and sharp for when you're working on watches. And don't be scared of making mistakes as well when you're working on a watch. There's no such thing as mistakes. There's only happy accidents. Of course, when it works to watches, these happy accidents will turn out to be very expensive accidents, especially if you're working on an expensive movement, and then you're going to be in a tight spot when you actually see how much the prices for these parts actually cost. It'll actually probably put you off working on your favorite watch ever again, and you'll probably be writing into me making a lot of complaints. But hey, that's TV. So the movement's turned over, and now I can break down the keyless works. And off goes the set-in lever spring, and now I can remove the yoke and another one of those pesky springs. Oh, it's such a rascal. And that's the set-in lever screw. Or no, well, actually, I stand corrected. It's not actually a screw on this. It's a push-down one, as you can clearly see. So I've popped open the barrel, and I'm just going to remove the mainspring from his little house. And in this world, this mainspring lives in this nice, happy little barrel, and I'm trying not to disturb him because he's asleep, so I don't want to wake him up. Now I've speeded this up for you because I'm basically just pegging all of these jewels, getting all that nasty dirtiness out of there before it goes into the deep wash. And we'll see that on the next camera. Gotta get all of these things nice and clean. Welcome back to the joy of watch servicing with me, bobross. So all the parts are all nice and clean and shiny and new, and we get to rebuild this watch with me. So I hope you're following along with these instructions, and I hope your watch at home is going exactly the same way that mine's going. If you've got any problems with this, feel free to send me a letter if yours isn't going as good as mine, but I'm confident that yours is going just as good. So I've put in the mainspring and the arbor, and I've put all that together, and now I have put the balance back on because obviously we wanted to clean it, and I want to clean those dirty little jewels. First of all, I whack those off really hard, and then I put them in some fix-a-drop treatment so that I can oil them correctly. Now once I've done that and I put them back, now I can remove the balance again. Oh, this balance, he's so mad with me because all I keep doing is I just keep on removing him from his happy little house, and I remove him to the other side of my bench, and he doesn't understand what's going on. But I don't need him right now, I only need him later on. So I'm adding some oil to various parts on this movement. It's like painting numbers, so you can just copy exactly what I'm doing on your watch. All watches are exactly the same at the end of the day, so don't worry, you're not going to break yours or anything. So once I've lubricated all of these jewels and I'm ready to go, I first pop in this beefy wheel. He's a little cutie, handsome little devil, as you can see, and I pop him in the middle, add a little bit more lubrication to the top of his head, and then I can put that little bridge on top, which is held down with 2 screws. you want to make sure that everything is engaging correctly before you finally screw everything down really tight, because the last thing you want is to have a crooked gear. Now, a crooked gear in this world is not happy, it's not fluffy, and it's not how it should be done whatsoever. So make sure that everything is engaged correctly before you do that big final whack-in screw off. So in goes the barrel now, as you can see. He's a big one. And I'm just putting on the barrel bridge on top, and then I can put down the 2 screws. And I found him, that escape wheel. He did evade me, I have to say. But I found him. So I'm popping in that escape wheel now, making sure that he can't go anywhere, because the last thing you do is want to watch without an escape wheel. In this world, that's definitely not something that would be right. So continuing up, building up these train of wheels. And you can see how goldy and shiny they look now. Little bit of lubrication now. And I just slide him in real nice. You see how that went in like butter? Let me know how yours went in. I'm real curious. Maybe you should drop me a comment in the comment section, and you should let me know how it exactly went. So I just put it on the bridge now for the train of wheels. And this one is like a really Fort Knox kind of one. As you can see, it's actually held in with 4 screws. They really don't want these suckers to fly away. So 4 screws it is for this one. Hey, but while I'm doing this, let me take this opportunity to help my friend out, HB. If you like what he does on the channel, you can hit a like on this video. You can also drop a comment in the comment section below. And if you do feel obliged, you can hit a subscribe on this account. That would be really, really appreciated if you subscribed to the Horology Biology channel. Now, HB also has a membership program for the HB channel. Currently, we've got actually 7 members now in the HB community, which is super fresh and of course super nice. And we of course are always looking for new people. So you can hit the join button below, and it gives you all the information about what you get. And who knows, maybe there's going to even be a bobross emoji in the future. We don't know. But I also want to give a special shout out to Samil as well. He's the latest member of the Horology Biology community. So special thanks to him for joining. So while I've been yakking and whacking away, I need to bring you up to speed in regards to where we are now. So as you can see, I've lubricated and added some grease to the crown wheel, and I've added the crown wheel core, and then that's held in with those 2 tiny little happy screws. I've also added in the click spring as well, and I've added in the click as well, and I'm just putting in the screw for it now. He's a slippy sucker, I'll give him that. The smaller the screws are, the harder it is. You have to let me know how the screws are on your watch. So on goes the ratchet wheel, and I'm just making sure that the little square hole goes around the little square on the movement. It really is that simple. And it's held in with that one big beefy size screw. And as it tightens up, you'll see that the whole wheel turns, which then turns all of the other wheels, so you know that you're on the right track in regards to doing the right thing. But just remember, this is your world, this is your watch, so you do it how you feel is best. There's no mistakes here. I just hope you got a big wallet. So I'm just adding some 9010 now to various jewels on the watch. It's important that you lubricate your watch. Now, there's a fine line between putting too much or too little. You need to just apply the right amount. You don't want to use too much, and you of course don't want to use too little. Now I'm adding a little bit of grease here as well for where the cannon pinion is going to go, and I'm just going to snap him on now. He's friction fit, so when he lives and goes back to his home, he snaps on real hard, and you can hear it click. And me personally, I think that click is a little way of saying thanks. So instead of me hearing it a click, I hear a thanks. Thanks, Bob. So I'm going to build up all of the keyless works now. I'm just going to put in the winding pinion, add in a little grease to this, make sure he's all lubricated and happy when I put him back in his home. And then I'll put in the sliding pinion as well. And the sliding pinion, he will bunch up against the winding pinion because they're in a relationship. And you have to think about it. Every time that you pull out the crown to set the time on your watch, and if you keep doing it, the sliding pinion and the winding pinion, they will engage back and forth like they're consummating their relationship. It's quite an experience. So a little 1300 now on some of these posts. Now that's where the minute wheel is going to go and the intermediate wheel. I'm also adding up some 1300 as well to various posts around the keyless works. So here where the yoke's going to go, not egg yoke. It's not an egg yoke. I like to call it an egg yoke, but it's just a yoke. And then the yoke spring will go on after this. I like my eggs scrambled. That's the way my wife makes them for me. And I have to say, I think it's a healthier option than a fried. Scrambled is definitely something that I highly recommend. So it's another one of those rascal pesky springs that likes to fly away. So I always hold him down with Mr. Pegwood here, and he'll basically stop him like he's under arrest and he can't go anywhere. And I'll just snap him in, make sure that he's engaged properly and that he's basically living in his home and everything is fluid and exactly how it should be. Make sure, like I said before, to keep me in the loop in regards to how your watch is going. I'm confident that you're doing real good. So on goes the setting lever spring. Now, it's a bit of a beastie thing, this, as you can see. Don't be intimidated by it. You need to make sure that in this world that you tell it that you're the boss. Now he's held in with 2 screws, and once he's engaged, he's not going to go anywhere. No, sir. Now I'm just making sure that all the positioning's lined up and everything's tickety-boo. And that just looks mighty fine. I'm real happy with that. Giving it a quick check. There you go. You see the sliding pinion and the winding pinion making out, so to speak. Just making sure that I add a little bit of lubrication here because it's metal on metal. Similar to the wet on wet that I do. But on this, we're going to call it metal on metal. Oh, there we go. Make sure you clean off any excess grease if you've used a little bit too much. You can use a little bit of that special bobross putty that I was referring to earlier on, and that'll clean it up real nice, real good. And I have no idea, the more that I think about this, how my accent keeps on changing through this recording. It's quite strange. So just adding on this little plate now, which holds down the intermediate wheel and the minute wheel. And it basically keeps those guys from running around in the watch and having a party, so to speak, because you don't want that to happen once you got the watch on your wrist. So now I'm adding a little bit of 1300 as well onto the side of the cannon pinion, and now I can pop on this hour wheel, and it's got the dial washer on there. For the life of me, I couldn't get this off of the hour wheel, so in the end I was like, okay, this guy wants to stay together, I'm gonna leave these guys to it. I don't want to disrupt some kind of special relationship here. So we're nearly there, guys. Movement's looking okay, and I'm just gonna pop on this beautiful looking dial. Oh, look at that. You got the titanium white buttons, and you got that sky blue. Ah, it's like a summer afternoon skyline. Oh, what a world. So I'm just nipping up those dial feed screws I was telling you about. Remember, you don't have to unscrew them all the way. Only half is enough. I'm just making sure that they're tied up real nice. And now what I'm doing is I'm just adding a little bit of a cleaning system to the pallet forks. And I applied some fix-a-drop treatment as well because I'm going to lubricate this, but I'm going to do it off a camera because it's a lot easier and I have to get in real tight with my oiler to do it correctly. So just adding on the pallet forks and of course the pallet cock as well. And just making sure that everything's engaged correctly before I fully screw it all down, because you don't want to run into those problems. Remember, mistakes, they're more like happy accidents. So I'm just checking that there's some power being sent through the watch, and as you can see, he's jumping away from my tweezers there, so that's a good sign. So I've got Mr. Balance back, and he's in a bad mood, I've got to tell you that. The amount of times that I've removed him from his home, he is not best pleased with me. But I have to say this is the last time now that I'm going to disturb him, and he is definitely back with his friends, happy on the watch, and we should get him running real soon. And he's held in just with that one screw. So as we're getting towards the end of this now, obviously we've got to set the hands. Now as there's no date option on this watch, you can put this hour hand on any way you want, which is pretty good. It makes things easier. I'm using this Horotech tool, and he will basically push the hand on, make it on securely, nice, not too tight, not too loose. And make sure before you put your hands on as well that you whack them off. It basically just helps with the application later. Once your hour hand's on, set him to 12 o'clock, as you can see. I hope you're following along with me with this. And then you can put on your minute hand. And you want to put him on top of Mr. Hour Hand. And then you repeat the process and you press him on top as well. Get him lined up real nice with 12. And away you go. I have to say as well, my hair was giving me a serious problem. My fringe kept on coming over my eyes and it was starting to affect my vision a little bit too much, so I kept on having to move him out of the way. I think I will definitely have to have a haircut real soon, because it was becoming a little bit problematic. So last but not least, we put on that bright, funky 70s neon orange sweeper. Oh, he's so bright, so funky. Now we get to case up the watch, so we're getting real close to the end. just using my blower. So you just want to blow in the case, make sure there's no dust in there, and then I can just put this on. Now this crystal was actually in not really a bad condition, so what I did is afterwards I just applied like a polywatch treatment to the crystal, and I just cleaned up some of those light scratches. I just whacked that off real good. So he's in there now, and I can just slide in the winding stem with the crown on the end, and he just clicks into place, happy in his home. And I just want to push down on that set-in lever screw, and click, in he goes. Thanks, Bob. This is a happy, happy little watch, and it's worked out really well. I hope your watches worked out really well as well. Make sure to let me know how it's going with yours. And if you've enjoyed this video, make sure you hit a like on this as well. That'd be really appreciated. So last but not least, I'm just applying these case clamp screws. Now they hold the movement in place so it doesn't wobble around inside its home, because that would be like an earthquake in there if you think about it for the watch, and that wouldn't be a really good situation. So you need to make sure that he's all secure, earthquake ready, and good to go. So last, we're going to apply a new gasket. We give him some special lubrication treatment. He makes him more supple, and he applies to the case back a lot more easier if he was all dry and older looking. And it's nicer when they're more lubricated. They're more moist and soft. And everything, as far as I'm concerned, is better when it's moist. Moist is good. So on goes the case back, and it's a screw back case, as you can see. So I'm just giving him a little twist with my fingers, and then I'll basically whip out my whacked rubber ball and give him a little nip up and tighten. Ah, that's real good. So I can put back on this really funky, bright orange rubber strap, and I have to say he suits the watch really well, especially with that sweeper. This is a whole load of 70s funk going on. Just making sure that those spring bar tools are engaged correctly. Sometimes they can be a little bit slippy. Those little rascals, they can evade you from time to time, so you got to make sure that you hear it click into place so that you know your watch is secure and your strap is on. That feels good. Let's check it on the Timergrapher. I'll regulate him properly in a couple of days, but just off the bat, we've got a nice amplitude up in the 270s. Rates 11 seconds plus, and we got really low beat error. So guys, I decided to shave my head, and I laid out the watch on what was left. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Feel free to subscribe to the Horology Biology channel and hit a like on this. And if you feel like you need to leave a comment in regards to special guest me on the show, that'd also be appreciated. Okay guys, as always, until next time.